We are within 2 minutes of when we should begin closing statements, and I have 4 questions left. So I thought maybe what I should do is read the 4 questions. 2 are Measure M and 2 are not. And perhaps the councilmen in their closing statements, or the council candidates in their closing statements, would like to consider these questions so they might get answered. 1 question, taking into consideration the support for Measure M, what change would you make to the Pacific Plan? Regardless of the outcome of Measure M, traffic will increase significantly in the coming years. What is your short-term vision and long-term vision for local mobility of people throughout the city of Menlo Park? Do you think El Camino Real should be widened to 6 lanes? If so, how will children, the elderly, and everyday residents safely cross the street? What are the issues facing Menlo Park over the next 5 years? And what is your position on your 2 top challenges facing Menlo Park? So we have the 2 on Measure M, 2 rather on safety, and the 1 on the challenges facing Menlo Park. So if you can address all of those in your 2-minute closing remarks, we would like that very much. Kirsten.
Well, thank you.
Such a challenge.
I know, isn't it? All the Ks. That's a tall order. 2 minutes. I do want to start with saying thank you to all of you who are here tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here and be with us tonight and to get educated and hear what we have to say. And I'll stay around afterwards. If you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. I am seeking another 4-year term. I would love your vote. I would appreciate your vote. I've been on for 4 years. We've had a great balanced budget. I think we should celebrate the things that we do well here. We have a new substation. We have crime that is down. We've hired a new police chief. We hired a new city manager during my term here. I wanted to let you know also that I do have 20 years of community service, serving on so many boards, but from battered women's service agencies to the Commission on the Status of Women in the county. I served for 7 years on the Planning Commission. And to talk about votes, I have a long record of voting here, and I always consider the rights and the needs of Menlo Park residents over everything. That's completely always important, and that's why at 7 years on the Planning Commission, 4 years on the City Council. We may not always agree on everything, but I do listen to you, and I take in the information that I hear and try and make the best decisions I can. As far as the proposals that are coming forward now, we have gotten a lot of public benefits, and I do want to highlight the fact that we do have a bike pedestrian undercrossing that is planned for Middle Avenue, and we would love to have design charrettes. We were going to get into design charrettes with the community when Measure M came forward, so we weren't able to do that. But I look forward to doing that. Obviously, we brought Facebook here in 2012. I have a record of positive collaborative work with people. That's why I'm supported by my entire council and so many mayors, Anna Eshu, Jackie Spear, Jerry Hill, Rich Gordon. I have a lot of support because I work well and collaborate, and I listen and try to make the best decision that I possibly can for you, for the residents of Menlo Park. And I always keep in mind my grandparents who lived here in the 50s and my children who are growing up here now to try and make Menlo Park the best place that it can be. Thank you. Thank you, Kirsten. Peter?
Okay, I'll start by taking one of the questions, which is related to traffic. And also, what I have definitely recognized as part of the support for Measure M is concerns in this community about traffic. There's no question about that. And that's something that we're working very hard on to try and solve the traffic issues in this city. There are a couple of things. First of all, I lived on Middle Avenue for several years, and I know that the bottleneck right in front of Jeffries at El Camino Ravenswood intersection, where El Camino goes from 3 to 2 lanes, is a real problem in the evening commute. and that's what causes the brake lights, and that's what causes cut-through traffic. So we have to fix that intersection in order, regardless of how you feel about Measure M, we've got to be able to fix that intersection. Secondly, we're also, as part of the general plan update, we are looking at traffic circulation around the city, making sure that we can help address some of the issues that cause traffic congestion. Just in terms of my closing, I wanted to highlight a couple of things. I think it's very important to have a collaborative city council. We don't always agree, but the key thing is that we deliberate issues, we study and analyze them, and this city council does a really good job of getting to a compromise and then moving on to the next issue. And that's important to get the work of our residents done. I have a track record of solving problems ranging from balancing our city's budget, attracting an incubator downtown, and working with our assemblymen to reform the housing element. And finally, I just wanted to leave you with a story that comes from a posting that I saw recently about Menlo Center, that 25 years ago when Menlo Center was first proposed, there were assertions of traffic gridlock and loss of small town character. And now we love that Menlo Center. We have 15 acres of empty lots. Let's make something productive out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Kelly?
Menlo Park voters, you have a choice before you. You can keep the small town character, the unique Menlo Park character that we love, or we can become an office park for commuters that create gridlock at rush hour and cut through traffic on our neighborhood streets. You know, I would say, unfortunately, the council did not compromise in 2012 when the specific plan was passed, because there were loud voices that were urging them at that time to close the loopholes that would allow the kind of development proposals that we are indeed seeing. I am not in favor of widening El Camino. I think we need to, it was 16 years that's Trees for Menlo worked to plant those trees. I'm not in favor of ripping them out. I have a wide range. I have so many endorsements from residents in every neighborhood in Menlo Park. Also downtown business owners, Steve Wesley, the former California state controller, downtown business owners, and the Sierra Club. You know, the Sierra Club is one of the groups that came to the council also, along with residents, to urge them to close these loopholes and to fix these flaws in the specific plan. And the council didn't listen to the Sierra Club, and that's why none of the council members are endorsed by the Sierra Club, and the challengers are, as well as Yes on M. Yes on M limits the size of massive office complexes. It reduces rush hour traffic and protects our neighborhoods. It provides real, not fake, open space. And it gives voters a say in the development of our town. I support Yes on M. I have faith in the voters that they will choose balanced development, less cut-through traffic, and real open space. And the challengers for council on November 4th.
Thank you, Kelly. Kristen?
So I'm going to try to answer the questions, and what I will do is I had my closing statements, and I'll put those on my website if anyone wants to see those. In terms of changes to the specific plan, if Measure M doesn't pass, I think it's imperative that we change the definition of public space to be more consistent what was really imagined in the visioning process, and so that private open space does not substitute for public open space. Private open space is great. Developers should include that. It makes their properties attractive, but it doesn't substitute for public space. And then the follow-up to that would be, if that becomes an onerous burden for smaller parcels, then we need to fix that problem, maybe think about providing it jointly somewhere in the area, but I do think we need to address that. I do think that we should try and keep the office in line with the EIR, and that could be part of further negotiating, as we're seeing with the Stanford project. We need to bring that back down. We need to keep that jobs to housing balance intact. The more office we have, then we will be facing more pressures to provide housing, which the rest of us do bear the burden of that, because we're going to be facing sanctions from the state in terms of lost transit funding. So that does have real consequences for us. In terms of El Camino, the traffic issue, you can't have 800,000 square feet of development and not expect traffic. And the way to address that is to address it directly through a transportation demand management program, which really should be a part of the specific plan and the general plan going forward. In terms of El Camino Real being widened, I'm not for that. We've spent $1 million to design and construct. It was in the budget this year, and we could have instead funded all of the bicycle improvements that have been recommended by the Bicycle Commission for, I think, a decade. So when you think about those trade-offs, I would every day of the week pick those bicycle improvements over widening El Camino Real. The other issues, general plan update is really important. I'm actually kind of disappointed that we haven't seen more participation at those from the members that are up here. Water, I will put a position paper also on my website. In closing, just thank you so much. It would be an honor to have your support, and what a privilege to be here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Drew?
Thank you. Well, I will address one, the El Camino widening. I think most studies have shown that, increasing capacity never or very rarely solves traffic problems. Very quickly, people will find out that there's an extra lane there, and they will just go find it, and then you'll be stuck in the same position again. So rarely does, like I say, increasing capacity solve a traffic problem. I think obviously with traffic we have to be more long term. We have to be looking at multimodal solutions. I mean that has to be our priority when it comes to trying to solve the problem of traffic. I did want to say, whatever happens with Measure M, whether it passes or not, Menlo Park is a great place to live. It's an amazing place to live. It's an amazing place to raise a family, and my wife Alexa and I decided to move here, and it was a very easy decision. We were attracted to the strong sense of community, and dare I say, I know it's all cliche, the small town character. But having spent a great deal of my life in New York or Los Angeles, believe me, it's a small town, and that's a good thing, and we love it, and we know that Menlo Park can't stay like it is forever, or that it needs to change. No one's saying that Menlo Park shouldn't or can't change, but we get to play a role in that change, and we get to play a role in the pace of that change, and we just don't get to be, we're not here just to be dictated to by developers or by state mandates or by Stanford. This is our community, and we should have the final say in what happens here.
Thank you, Drew. Rich?
Thank you. As far as widening the El Camino Real, I agree. If the strategy only is to widen El Camino Real, then that's a poor strategy. To take pressure off on a right turn in a horrible intersection, I can see the wisdom of that, but if that's all you're doing, then I don't. There better be other strategies to alleviate the traffic, because otherwise it's just going to fill back up. And I think some of those strategies should be a much stronger and more firm relationship with Palo Alto. Palo Alto's traffic is drowning us on Willow, drowning us on El Camino Real. The times when I have addressed it with the mayor, when I was spending time on the rail stuff, it was always kind of a smirk in response, and kind of like I'm not sure we're going to have that discussion. I actually now feel deeply about it that we need to have that discussion, because I feel like we are carrying a lot of weight for traffic for our neighbor. As much as I respect them. There's also the other tools, traffic demand management system around development projects within the general plan. They're a good idea. If you look what Facebook has done, taking that and applying that to other projects, trying to drive that through in different ways that we plan is very important. If we don't do it, it's just going to become the lazy process of cars coming in, and we kind of have to dictate that. For me, just quickly, I do want to say thank you, and I want to thank the community for being passionate on issues always, and for bringing your best and your worst every day to these issues. I always will appreciate the opportunity to represent you. I hope to represent you again, because you're an amazing community, and you love your community, and you're going to stand behind it. I'm with you on that. We may disagree at times. We don't disagree on that. If it's that good and it's worth fighting for, we should fight for it. On November 5th, that's when you have to decide who's going to carry the water, who's going to fight for you. And I plan to, and I have. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich. I would also like to thank this evening our timekeeper, Joanne Brueggemann, our question collectors, Diana Post and Lucille Spurlock, Ellen, who helped coordinate this evening, and thank the audience for all their participation and interest in the issues in Menlo Park. And I want to also thank the candidates, who I think Menlo Park is so lucky to have such wonderful and interested people running for office and willing to, as Rich says, to carry the water. Please don't forget that next Tuesday night in the community room of the Menlo Park Library, the League of Women Voters will be presenting the pros and cons on the ballot issues, and so please come to that as well. And thank you all for coming, and I think we're ending on time. Thank you.